Welcome to Hot Topics on the Edge of Show. I'm January Jones, joined by my co-host Richard Carthong.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about Kraken delisting Tether, crypto stealing apps found in the Apple App Store, and upcoming travels for the Edge of team.
This is another production of the Edge of Company, a rapidly growing media ecosystem empowering the pioneers of Web3 technology, culture, and innovation.
Let's get to it.
Our first story today, Kraken will delist Tether's USDT and 4 other stablecoins in Europe to comply with the markets and crypto assets regulations, following a phased approach to minimize market disruptions. So that is big news. Kraken's been making headlines in the States. They were one of the sponsors of the crypto ball that brought all the crypto people to Washington, but this is about what they're doing in Europe. Richard, do you think this is going to affect what's happening in the US?
Yeah, I think this could be a starting point for a lot of uh, not just Kraken, but potentially other US based um, exchanges that do business in Europe to potentially delist USDT. One of the challenges that Tether has always had is basically proving all of their books and showing that they have all the assets on hand to back their stable coin. Um, so with it being delisted from Europe, if the US tries to take on the same types of compliance that has been proposed there, you can see a chain reaction starting to happen here. I don't know that it will necessarily happen in other places like Asia, potentially South America, etc. But there's a solid chance that if America takes the same stance, that others will follow. So I don't think it's an immediate challenge for USDT, but I think long term, it could be the beginnings, and there might be more to come with USDT having to get on the right track so that they can uh, stay as a compliant stablecoin for most of the large markets out there.
Well, last year, Tether announced with Tron, right, that they were going to self-regulate to do what you were saying, like to try to prove their books. Is this kind of fallout from that maybe they didn't do a good enough job?
Yeah, Tether's been pushed back a lot by a lot of different regulatory entities over the years, and they have done work and have done a job, but I don't know if it's necessarily been enough to comply. And so I think Europe at this point basically just said, like, look, you haven't complied, this cutting it off. And so um, I think Kraken's just trying to cover themselves sooner than later, so they don't have to deal with this as things potentially uh, start going more bullish in markets, since people believe that 2025 will be a very bullish year. And let's say that things really do take off, and now you're having to potentially be compliant with a lot of transactions going in and out of Tether and other things. They would rather just not even have to deal with it. So, again, I think they're just trying to be proactive in that vein. And I do see a possibility that that decision could bleed over into the US as well later this year.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see that if the US policies are so crypto friendly this year, people coming here instead of Europe, with their business. We've talked about like it last year, regulations were pushing people away, right? And so I think this maybe is part of another trend that we'll see, people coming here because they're friendly rules. So all right, well, let's talk about something that should have every crypto holder paying attention. For the first time ever, a crypto stealing malware has been found in the Apple App Store. So iOS users were not as safe as we thought. A new campaign called SparkCat has been sneaking malicious SDKs into apps, and some of them have been downloaded over 240,000 times. The thing uses optical character recognition to scan screenshots for recovery phases. I think we are all guilty of the screenshot shortcut. I know I just looked up mine the other day to find a password. Richard, are you an Apple or Android guy? Do you switch this around for your wallets because of these ongoing security issues?
Yeah, this is definitely a problem and a challenge, and very unfortunate. I think this won't be the last that we see, unfortunately, as much as there's going to be opportunities out there, there's always going to be scammers and people with malicious intent. They're going to continue to evolve and find ways to expose vulnerabilities. And of course, one of the challenges of being in the Web3 space and having access to the wallet, you are your own bank. So if somehow someone gets access to your sensitive information, there's not really a whole lot you can do to claw things back if they are maliciously taken. So just as a own safety precaution, I know other people advise it, but definitely want to re-emphasize that for your security passwords, having them written down, physically written down and put somewhere that you can go and reference is preferred. If you can avoid having screenshots and having it be somewhere in a cloud or somewhere, the safer your assets will be. But the other side of this too is that I personally don't do a lot of transactions from my phone for this reason. And I choose to do a lot of my Web3 crypto transactions from my computer, so that a lot of it goes through a cold storage. So there's like another layer of protection. But most of people in the world in Web3 use their phones. So
Yeah.
you then have to continue to be as safe as you can. But even if you have two-factor authentication and all the other things, if they have your private keys, they got your private keys. So there's not a whole lot you can do to protect that. So your biggest security risk is your private keys, and you have to make sure that you're keeping them as safe as possible. And even when you're opening up a new wallet and doing things with it, start with a small amount and do some transactions and make sure everything's working properly before you move massive amounts to a new wallet, simply because vulnerabilities like that.
Yeah, we're not giving financial advice. We just, are trying to flag this for people that, man, get me in my screenshots. That's like when everyone figured out your password had like your pet's name in it.
Yeah. I just a fun little story about that, how I learned this lesson the hard way. And like, I still to this day don't know how this happened. But I years ago, before Doge was what it is today, when it was below a penny, I got a wallet on my phone and I bought like $1,000 of it, right? And it was just like, cool, let me like watch this. And so when it started to take off a few years ago, I was like, oh yeah, I have this Doge chilling over here. Let me go check on it. And it turns out um, it had been stolen. I still do not know to this day how someone was able to steal that out of my wallet that was on my phone. But it was a big lesson. Like, I don't know if someone just somehow had my private keys. I don't know. To this day, I do not know what happened, but it was the last time I used like an everyday wallet on my phone because of that. Because, yeah, let's just say I lost a pretty significant amount of money in hindsight, simply because I didn't do the safety precaution of putting this on a more on a hardware wallet or somewhere else. So
I think everyone's got a story like that. I think we kind of find out, I know some artists in the crypto space, they actually will put their encrypt that into their artwork or a painting in their house or something. So they're writing it down, but it's not totally obvious, but they remember what those key things are. So it's another sneaky way. Put it in your art. That's just in your house instead of, a Post-it that your kid's going to scribble over. Okay, well, it is going to be a busy year. I barely can keep up with all the places the Edge of team goes. I mostly stay here in Denver. Eat Denver's coming up. But Richard, before you get to Eat Denver, which Hackathon starts the 23rd of February, Edge of is going like 3 other places around the world. What's going on? Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's a pretty busy month for us. So we're starting the year off strong. So Josh from our team is actually headed to Leap. For those who don't know, Leap is one of the largest conferences in the world. It's in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Over 100,000 people typically attend this event each year. And he's actually going to be giving a panel on one of the final days of the event. So he is giving a presentation on a hopeful future and what's next. He has like 3 other really awesome people on there, like Fazel Sultan, who is the VP of Managing Director of Lucid Middle East, Carl Harvard, who's the Chief Commercial Officer of Nscale, and Fazel Galaria, who is the non-executive director of Starling Bank. So some pretty heavy hitters on this conversation. So he'll be out there. If anyone happens to be out in the region, go say hi and see if maybe you can connect. And then next week as well, Audrey from our team is going to be at NFT Paris. So for anyone who is out there and on the scene, the Edge of team will be out there. So give us a shout. And then the following week, Josh from our team is going to be at Consensus Hong Kong, participating in a couple different events. We'll be doing some content out there as well. And then finally, we're wrapping up at ETH Denver. And of course, January from our team is heavily involved over at ETH Denver. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so ETH Denver was my gateway drug to Web3. We're all contractors that work for ETH Denver. We come together for 4 months and try to throw a real banger of a party. So this was my second year, and this year, I mean, it is like a bull market, right? But also people are so excited and ready to have some fun too. And so what I can tell you is what I'm seeing really fun booth plans come to us. That's going to be on the floor. The floor of the main venue is going to be amazing. We also have some really good educational opportunities. That's one thing about ETH Denver I really enjoy is it is free if you join Spork DAO.
I want to
You stake
reemphasize
your
that
Spork.
it's free. Like most
It's free.
conferences have a cost. So that is awesome that people truly can come to this amazing conference for multiple days, hackathons, all that for free. So yeah, just want to reemphasize that.
Yeah, but you have to join the DAO, the Spork DAO, and you have to stake your a little bit of the Spork they give you for free, and then you're in. So there is a little bit of a process, but it's the easiest ticketing process ever for ETH Denver so far. And actually, this year it comes with your own little URL and identity, so that's kind of fun too. But one thing I wanted to highlight is we have this Camp Biddle, which is like a zero knowledge camp that is totally free for the first 3 days of Biddle week, which starts right before the main conference. And so that is something I've shared with people. I've shared with my cohorts in SheFi, and it's just one of those amazing things that happen at these community conferences where they're like, you don't know very much, you know a little, come on in, we'll teach you as much as we can in 3 days, and then try to set you loose, at the hackathon. So that's coming together. It's going to be great. And then also we're working with a lot of art this year. The art gallery at ETH Denver is going to be right up front. And I've got a little alpha for you, Super Chief, our friend Edward. He's coming on and is going to be a main participant in the art gallery at ETH Denver. So our worlds are collapsing. You guys partner with him just recently in Japan. And we had him on the show at Art Basel. So all these things are really coming together nicely. We're going to have a great opening night party at ETH Denver as well. We've got a 4-story venue plus an art gallery just for that party. And I know Richard Edge of is co-hosting an event within the opening night event with Omni. They'll be on the show with us next week talking about what that's going to look like. So yeah, obviously I'm excited. And then one other fun thing that people do if you have time is after ETH Denver, a lot of people go up to Breckenridge, Colorado for a couple of days. And so people ski, I hot tub, don't ski, and hang out. And so there'll be other kinds of events that are more chill, but those are going to be happening in Breck after ETH Denver. So if you can make the time and accommodations, definitely think about checking that out.
Absolutely. It's really awesome to have someone on the inside give you some alpha on these different things. We're gonna have even more information coming out on all this, but January is doing a great job over there with the team. Has a really awesome 2 weeks planned for everybody, so make sure you go check it out. And of course, when you're out there, if you see us, come say hi. Always love to meet people who are within our ecosystem that come and hang out with us. So definitely appreciate all that, January. And of course, for everyone listening today, we talked about Apple's crypto vulnerability, Kraken's delisting Tether, and all of the Edge of teams travels across the globe.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's journey through the hottest Web3 topics. We're thrilled to explore these innovations with you and can't wait to bring you even more exciting updates and conversations. I'm January here with Richard, signing off. Stay curious, stay innovative, and we'll see you next time.